Alrighty, footy fans, it's just 6 days to go until the footy is back. Thank the Lord. We've got one last very special episode for you before we move into our first round 1 preview next week. So in this episode, we're going into some bold predictions and hot takes for the 2021 season. We talk about who we think is going to win the competition, who we think is going to completely bomb, and we name our Dally M Player of the Year and Dally M Team of the Year. We also just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of our listeners out there in these first 6 episodes of our Rippin' podcast. The response has been actually fucking awesome, and we can't believe that so many people are already tuning in every week. So once again, thank you so much from myself and from Spencer. So enjoy this episode. It's a little bit of a shorter one, and we can't wait to see you next week. Enjoy.
Alrighty. So now that we've got all the preseason shit out of the way, it's time to get into a bit of hot takes and bold predictions, I think, Alex. I think it's about time we put all of our expertise to good use. Start up with an easy one with our predicted ladder for the end of the 2021 season. I'll go first with my minor premier, South Sydney Rabbitohs. Unky Wayne we trust. I went over it in length. Latrell Mitchell is the truth. Recently signed truth, $850 a year. I don't see them really having much of anyone having an answer for them this year.
And my only concern with the Rabbitohs is that they're always victims of the hype. You know, going into the 2020 final series, a lot of pundits had them going all the way, despite, copping a hiding, let's say, from the Bulldogs as an example. So I think they always just fall short. Like, they've undoubtedly got the talent. However, I do have them as one of my 2 potential premiership favourites. So, I think they're going to fall short to the good guys that I'll mention a little bit later on. But, but my minor premiership favourites are the Melbourne Storm. I just think they're still fucking stacked from 1 to 17, even with the loss of Cameron Smith. Can't go past them. They're always there or thereabouts. Like, how many fucking minor premierships have they won in the last 20 years? The answer is fucking most of them. So they'll probably go right through and do it again in 2021. However, I don't think they'll go all the way to winning the premiership. I mean, how fucking hard is it to win back-to-back, number 1? And number 2, I do think there are some fucking hot teams that will just figure them out in the finals. Teams do step it up against the Melbourne Storm in the finals, and that's why they don't have 10 premierships in the last 20 years. People can figure them out when the time comes.
We had some good chat. I think it's almost fitting then that the first game of the season on Thursday night is going to be the Storm versus the Rabbitohs. So that's going to be a really good test straight away to sort of see, where do the Melbourne Storm sort of lie? Obviously, like you said, they've won most minor premierships. Craig Bellamy has a pretty good way of getting the guys re-centered and focused. But then also on the other side is, if Craig Bellamy is one of the greatest coaches of our era, then Wayne Bennett is probably close in number 2 and was the coach of the era before Bellamy. So that's going to be such an awesome matchup. I'll go like Penrith on my number 2 team. I think they're just as good as they were last year. But, I think good teams realize that you've got to be hitting into form at the right end of the season. We spoke about it a little bit in the Panthers preview. Their finals games don't wow you as much as the whole season does, because I think it was more the point of view of thinking about, now it's 16 straight wins, now 17 straight wins, now it's 18 straight wins, rather than they only won by a point against the Roosters and they only just squeaked by the Rabbitohs. So, where are they going to lie? I think they'll sort of fall back a little bit, but they really will round to form at the end of the year. I've got Melbourne at 3. For the simple point where I think they lose that opening game against the Rabbitohs, and I think they just take a little bit of time just to iron out some of the creases. But then at the end of the year, like you said, on paper, 1 to 17, they'll sort out who's going to be the Tino for next season. They've got Lumi coming in for Vunivalu on the wing. Bellamy loves himself. Those just pure athletes. And then also as well, Harry Grant is no poor replacement for Cameron Smith. And then it's not that bad that if Harry Grant does shit the bed, that they've got the cheese to clean up the pieces. Number 4, rounding out my top 4, I think what you refer to as the good guys in the Canberra Raiders, the milk.
Fuck, that's low. Nah, just kidding. I've got them as third. So yeah, the Melbourne Storm as minor premiers, South Sydney Rabbitohs for numero 2, the Raiders in for third, and the Eels rounding out the top 4, narrowly edging out the Sydney Roosters. But again, as we've discussed all throughout the preseason episodes, is that anywhere in the top 6 is kind of up for grabs, I think. Any of these teams could chop and change with one another, and then it's just about who's fucking firing at the end of the season. So rounding out my top 8, including those top 6 teams that we've been discussing, are the Penrith Panthers at number 6, the Gold Coast Titans at number 7, and the New Zealand Warriors at number 8. Though I will say, I'm very concerned about the Warriors for 8th now that RTS is on the move, but fuck, I'd just like to see them get up there and have a good year. They deserve it.
You know, I think the Eels' top 4 is maybe pushing it a little bit too much. Maybe you got a bit more faith than I do. I just look at their opening 10 rounds last season, saw the form tail off. The same thing happens this year. It's another 5 more games. Rather, 20 rounds last year, 25 rounds this year. Some of those better teams might catch them. Obviously, still a great outfit, great forward pack. So I've actually got them in 7th. So obviously the Roosters is 5. My issue is I tipped the Manly Seagulls to finish 6th. And now there's a Tommy Turbo fucking hole in my prediction. So at the moment, I'm going to stay true, and I'm going to say that Manly will persevere and they will finish 6th. But if it gets to week 5 and the cunt tears his other hamstring, then I'm redoing the prediction. But as of right now, from 5 to 8, I got Sydney Roosters with a little bit of regression, blooding in the young guys. The Manly Seagulls with a fucking belly full of vinegar coming through to 6. Parramatta Eels in 7, and the Newcastle Knights just to squeak in to number 8. Now let's go to the best of the rest.
And they really are the rest, mate, honestly. Obviously, we've got a few differences here between, I think it's 6 and 10. But, fuck, they are the rest. There's just not many contenders here.
And look, obviously I'm a salty Broncos fan, so I'm never going to put the Gold Coast Titans in my 8. But I don't mean tipping them in 9th to be anything bad, because I just think that they really are. They are one more season away from really putting it all together. Like, everybody talks about all these signers that they brought in. And yeah, they look fucking great on paper, but it takes some time to gel. And they did finish the season off really well last year. But on one hand, it's like, that we're not 100% sure that's going to carry over into the new season. Just because you win your last 5 games doesn't mean you win your first 5 in the new season. I think, if anything, it maybe inflated our idea of where they're going to be. And I think just one more season of getting the combinations together, and we could see them in the top 8. But that being said, I do at the moment have a potential Manly Seagulls problem. So maybe the Titans are the ones that eventually come in there. Following on from the Titans, and I think there's going to be a big discrepancy in the points between the Titans and the Sharkies in 10th. Andrew Fafita looked great in the All-Stars game, don't get me wrong, but I just think the talent around him is just not that good. Sean Johnson, I think you might even send it to me, Alex, was they shopped him to the Warriors, and the Warriors just flat out said, get fucked.
That was fucking great. I love that. Yeah, guys, we'll come back. We love you. Nah, fuck off.
Fuck off. So I got the Sharkies in 10th. I got the Warriors in 11th. I think another year not being with the family might just be a bit too much. And I also think as well, Todd Payton, he did coach the Warriors last year, didn't he? I'm not fucking... Yeah, he's a great coach. I think he did really well. They're, not my cup of tea for this year. The Canterbury Bulldogs rounding it out in 12th. So before we get into the absolute shit kickers, that's my 12th team. And I think the Bulldogs just going to play a lot better than they did last year. I mean, they can't really play much worse unless they're the Brisbane Broncos. But yeah, I think, the Bulldogs, again, similar to the Titans, will have a season where they're kind of figuring things out, see where the combinations are, and then 2022, you can bring Josh Adokar into the system.
Yeah, I got some pretenders here in my 9th to 12th positions. So the Newcastle Knights, yeah, I think they're actually on a slide. Like, they've been on the up for a couple of years, but I don't like...
They've been scratching.
I don't like their signings. You know very well that I don't think Tyson Frizzell's very good. I reckon he's going to be the dud signing of 2021. So let's fucking wait for that one. Mitchell Pearce, wanker. And how long's Kalen Ponga out for? Many rounds, right? So
yeah, there's an identity crisis. Like David Clemmer, he hasn't looked the same in a while. There could be a potential uprising amongst the playing group. Connor Watson always seems to be 5 minutes away from another major injury. So, You'd almost talk me out of them making the 8 at this point. Fucking hell.
Yes, and then we got to the Cronulla Sharks at 10th. Fuck. Like, there's nothing exciting about the Sharks for me, but they're also not bad. Like, so that's why they're 10th.
They'll pump the Broncos.
They will. No. And then the Tigers, I got the Tigers at 11th. What was I thinking? Like I've said this in a few episodes since making this prediction. They are gonna be fighting it out for the wooden spoon. I fucking can't believe this roster. Who came up with this shit? Fuck. Anyway, and then 12th, I've got the Manly Sea Eagles, so I'm going to stick fucking strong with that one, particularly with Tommy Turbo having these ongoing issues, and if Kieran Foran's their saviour with Tommy T out, the bloke's got the same issues. He's going to be injured in fucking round 2 himself, so...
chuck him the fullback. Foran the fullback, it fucking rolls off the tongue.
Right, and then we got the shit kickers. Here we go. I'm just going to rapid fire it. 13th, North Queensland Cowboys. 14th, Brisbane Broncos. 15th, St. George Illawarra Dragons. 16th, Canterbury Bulldogs. Fuck yo hype Bulldogs, you're coming last.
I agree with 13. I agree with 14. And I agree with 15. But I see Canterbury Bulldogs, and I raise ye one West Tigers.
I can't disagree with you. I can't.
If we trust Unky Wayne, we don't trust Madge.
It's so bad.
Because all these teams are just shit. Like you look at, and like the North Queensland Cowboys, like they're probably the unluckiest of these bottom 4 sides. They're still having a JT hangover to a certain degree, but if they're out of these teams, I think they've probably got the most amount of what even is the word for it? Cautious optimism, maybe. Like if Michael Morgan can get healthy and get a prolonged bit of time on the footy field, he's a game-changing player. Like when he was playing 14 for Origin, he was serious. Like he was that utility guy. Like he's almost 100 kilos, can pass well, can run the ball, can kick the footy. Fucking good player, can't stay healthy. Valentine Holmes looked pretty good at the end of the Origin series, obviously playing in the wing compared to fullback, but if he has another season of NRL conditioning preseason, it's really fucking hot in Townsville, that can work out well. And the news that Taumalolo is now being reduced to shorter, quicker stints. Todd Payton said that he doesn't want him playing 65, 70 minutes. He actually wants to sort of deploy him a bit more in like that is Taumalolo to a T, because I've always thought that the best games that he plays, so he's getting 300 meters but making only 15 tackles. So just get him in there to just fucking run through teams. And then when he's tired, just bring him off for a breather. Like, I think that works perfectly. Brisbane Broncos fucking suck. The Broncos spent more time fucking making that song for Kevy than they have putting any kind of contract money into anybody that isn't just a shit kicker. The Dragons are just the Brisbane Broncos of New South Wales, and the West Tigers, my God, they're in dramas. When your top signing for the off season is or are James Tarmow and Joe O, and fuck yeah. You get rid of Benji Marshall, who's literally going to pay for fucking peanuts and a fucking sandwich at the end of the day. Unbelievable.
He would have paid them to play for the Tigers, I think. He would have paid them. And also, g'day out there to Toddy Payton, if you're listening, because you clearly have been after our big fucking rant about time versus intensity for big forwards like Taumalolo, and now all of a sudden, there he goes, reducing the minutes. So good to have you listening, Toddy. Thanks for it, mate. Happy for you to send us a couple of tickets, including the tickets to fly up to Townsville too.
Yeah, not to Cowboys games. Like if you want to give us like any Magic Round tickets in Brizzy, sure. But if it's a Townsville ticket, I don't want it. Fuck off.
All right, with the top 8 cemented, what we think the top 8 is going to be, and they're pretty similar for the most part. Who's going all the way?
The Rabbits. There's a smell in the air. I don't know what it is. The signing of Benji Marshall, I think, is going to prove to be a masterstroke. He's hunting down the number 14 jersey. He's come out this week and said that in training he likes to, get stuck into the boards a little bit, and he actually arced up at Damien Cook for, and I quote, throwing him shit passes. And Damien Cook's giving him a little bit of shit, and they had a little bit of, friendly banter. And then after the training session, Damien Cook was back on the training field, just practicing passes at a dummy half. So Benji Marshall, even if he's not playing games of footy, is already sort of showing. He said he wanted a reaction, and the reaction he got is their New South Wales Origin hooker is staying back after training to practice his passing, which just shows the young guys around the club what is being expected of them. The whatever version of the Rabbitohs we see during the regular season is just going to be put up tenfold when it gets to the finals, because Bennett just has a way to just eke every last bit of talent out of them. And if you look at the Origin series, and obviously there's a little bit of difference between the Queenslander spirit and everything else, but the level of that Rabbitohs roster, I don't see any other team that I predicted to be in my top 4 other than the Storm, who have a coach who's able to put those players up to that second level. And I just think everything works out perfectly here for Wayne Bennett to get just yet another premiership. And for like the Rabbitohs squad they have now, I think is more stacked than the team they won with in 2014 from top to bottom. And the players that still have remained in that team, well, I mean, it's only Adam Reynolds at this point. He's only gotten better. So I just think everything's there in front of them. Sorry, Penrith fans, I hate to do this 2 years. I have Penrith losing to the grand final 2 years in a row. Only because I have them finishing second. I'm just playing on the mindset of, like, as it stands right now, if I think my number 1 team and my number 2 team are going to like go through there. So at this moment, I have Penrith being there. And yeah, I see a similar thing for the Panthers. They're going to play really well. They're going to do good. They're going to round out well coming into the postseason. But I think at the end of the day, the talent that the Rabbitohs have on offer is just going to be too much for teams to handle. Especially, like we should say, with the new rule changes, trying to speed up the game. Their forward pack and Cody Walker, they're just licking their fucking chops.
Yeah, look, as I said, the Rabbits are my number 2 team to go all the way. They got a lot going for them, to be sure. I'm actually not as confident in some of the players they have in their roster. Like, I don't agree with you that this team is better than the team that won the grand final. Like, they had some players in that team that were just fucking unbelievable. Like Sammy Burgess in his prime, Ben Teo in his prime.
Joey Arrow. I'll give you Sam Burgess. They don't have a Sam Burgess. I'll give you that. Ben Teo, they're replacing there. Joey Arrow. I'll give you one there. Yeah, I know. But yeah, it's like Latrell. Like, obviously, Gio is better than Latrell. I will say though, Cody Walker is better than Luke Keary, or at least better than what Luke Keary was then. Any winger they fucking have is better than who they had in Lottie Takiri back then. So you got that there. So yeah, Mansour and what's his face? AJ, Alex Johnson. Pretty fucking good. But yeah, I agree. And Damien Cook as well.
They had Api Carousel. Right? So look, yeah, there's some good players in there. There's a couple of things that I don't like. Like, for example, Cody Walker, undoubtedly a fucking great player. However, can be taken out of a game by frustrating him. Similar to Latrell, when we discussed the Rabbits in our preseason series, is that, you know, they just play with their heart on their sleeve, and if you get under their skin, they can drop their lollies. And Cody Walker has been known to do that in the past, right? The other one is, I don't like the strategy that is being put forward of Benji Marshall off the bench. Now, I thought Benji Marshall was a great signing as far as adding depth to the squad and a proven leader and winner, just to be in the team, you know, not necessarily playing, but just in the playing group, right? If they're going to play him at number 14, I actually don't like that, because they're going to give him game time. They're not just going to leave him sit on the bench. Like, for example, Ricky actually many times last season kept his 17th man on the bench, you know, because he had them as backups, as you know, just in case, right? They're not going to do that at the Rabbits, so they're going to have to work him into their rotation, and I think it actually weakens it doing that. So in a normal circumstance, they would just keep Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds and Damien Cook on the field. Why wouldn't you? All of them are good, and then you're going to put Benji Marshall on, and who you moving? Are you taking one of them off? Are you putting one into the forwards? I don't know. Regardless, it's changing up a 6-7-9 combo that shouldn't be changed. It shouldn't be shared. So I actually think it weakens the team putting Benji Marshall on the field on a consistent basis. So I'm really concerned about that news. So for me, Canberra Raiders all the way this year. You know I'm fucking loving them. It's their time. It's fucking been 7 years. It's their time. They're going to get to the grand final against their rivals over the last 4 years, the Storm. I know the Roosters are another one of their rivals, but definitely the Storm from, you know, some very, very good contests over that time. And they're going to beat them by 6. And my man, Joey fucking Tarpany, is getting the Clive Churchill medal. He had an all-time season last year. He's finally come into his own. And if he fires in a grand final, they win. Evidence being the Storm shut him down in that prelim final. Him and Josh Papali. And that was the end of them.
Yeah, they both got belted in that game against the Storm, going to be brutally honest. The Raiders need, like, the squad's good. I'll give you that. They do have a good squad. There's a couple of younger forwards, guys that need to take that next step, which I'm not saying that they can't, but my thing for the Rabbitohs is just, as of right now, the guys that they have on paper, I think are more, like, I'm not going to fucking try to argue with you that the Rabbitohs have anybody better than Josh Papali in the forward pack, because that's never going to be the case. But what I will say is that I trust the Rabbitohs bench rotation more than I do the Raiders. But my counter argument to the Benji Marshall thing, which I like that where he's going to have to be in there, he's going to have to get minutes. My thing is, though, if the Rabbitohs are blowing teams out like we think they're going to do, because I have them first and you have them second, does it not help the Rabbitohs long term if Damien Cook only has to play 60 minutes a game rather than 80? And then bringing Marshall in, then you have that thing where if teams are getting a little bit, clued onto what they're doing. And like you said with Cody Walker, you can get under his skin, same with Latrell. But the thing with Cody Walker is he needs a platform to roll off of. I'm of the firm belief, like I'll put my hand on my heart right now, Cody Walker is the best player in the NRL when he's got a full head of steam, when he's running forward and he's got the defensive line going backwards. I'm not saying that he's not a good footy player when that isn't happening, but I'm just saying when Cody Walker has them going backwards, some of the stuff that he's able to do with the footy in his hands is just fucking ridiculous. He is just I hate to use a game breaker, but he is a game breaker, right? If they can figure out how to slot Marshall in there, and we talk about that number 13 and the Victor Radleys and the Brandon Smiths, Jason Taumalolo to a certain degree, like obviously not as great as a ball player, but at the same time, just like, that dynamic sort of impact from the back of the scrum. There's barely any scrums. If Benji Marshall can sort of slot into that number 13 role and not even necessarily have to tackle too much, but just like be there in attack, then, how does their attack look? How do they sort of go? I think that that's how it's going to work, and I think they're going to do it very well. Well, I've got them picked to win the grand final, and I've got Cody Walker as my Clive Churchill medalist, because I think that in terms of the Raiders, this being their year, I think this is Cody Walker's year, where he has for a few years now, he got brought into the Origin squad, not last year, but the year before. Game 1, shut the bed, kicked him out. They won the series. This year, same. He played really, really well in Game 2. When the forwards were getting a good roll on and they were just fucking dominating Queensland. And after the Game 2, all the Queensland forwards came out and they're like, yeah, New South Wales just fucking dominated us down the middle. There was literally nothing we could do. And Cody Walker looks like a fucking man on a mission. And then Game 3, they sucked, they stopped the inside traffic. They made New South Wales work in their forwards. And then it wasn't really until the last 20 minutes or so that New South Wales would do anything. And then Cody Walker obviously, unfortunately, got knocked out of the game late. This is Cody Walker's year. He has to seize it. I know he's not a spring chicken. I think he was 26 or 27 when he got his debut. He's exactly the type of player that Wayne Bennett loves coaching. He's the exact type of player that loves Wayne Bennett's type of coaching as well. They just feed off of each other so well. And just with how their contracts are set up, there's a little bit of Adam Reynolds, whether it's his agent or not, a little bit of murmurings that they want a 3-year deal rather than a 1. That could all build up to be the thing where all the Rabbitohs players know, hey, with this group of guys right here, this could be the year to do it. And this, we don't know, this could be the last year Wayne Bennett coaches as well. He's fucking certainly no spring chicken anymore. So I got the Rabbits. And, just to add insult to injury for Penrith fans, I got you losing again. Fuck yous.
All right. Next up, we've got the biggest glow up. I'm going to keep mine nice and short. I think it's the Gold Coast Titans. Amazing recruiting. They were already on the rise before they recruited these players in 2020, and they just fell short of the 8. So I think they moved from 9th up to 7th, but that doesn't even exemplify the actual rise there. Those 2 spots, they've really jumped a lot, but not quite up to the standard of the top 6, right? But at the end of the day, they got some really awesome up-and-coming forwards, Fodawaker, plus Tino and Fafita, got rid of the fucking pieces of shit like Bryce Cartwright, and they do have a genuine superstar in AJ Brimson. That is the man I am most excited to watch in 2021. And as well, Brian Kelly, who I think, with some good halves work this year, can really up his stocks as one of the top centers in the game. So there you have it. Gold Coast Titans for me, my man.
I like that. Yeah. I got the Bulldogs for my glow up this season. Can't do much worse than how they finished last year. Look, I like the mid-season addition of Luke Thompson. I think he brought a little bit of energy, bit of grunt to the forward pack. When they played the Broncos the first time, him and TPJ got stuck into it a little bit. He showed that he's not going to back down. He gets into the niggle a little bit. I think the Bulldogs are playing best. I mean, every team's playing best when they have a guy like that. He looks pretty similar to James Graham. And there's just something about a blonde English prop wearing the Bulldogs colours just gets me a little bit riled up. So maybe I'm a bit biased there, but I think that's going to help him a lot. I think Kyle Flanagan has proven that he's class and he's going to have a big fucking chip on his shoulder. So I like him into the team this year. And I like Corey Allen's ball playing ability this season as well. Whether or not he works best as a number 1 or a number 6 moving forward with Josh Adokar remains to be seen. But I think that with those two brought into the back, into the spine, with Nick Kotrick on the outside backs as well, I think if they can continue playing the way they did last year under Dean Pay with that kind of grit and that energy, again, they're not going to make the top 8 in my predictions, but I think, like you were sort of saying with the Titans, going from 15th to 12th, one that looked that great on the ladder, I think they're going to be a team that them beating a Rabbitohs or a Storm or somebody like that next year isn't going to be as surprising. I think they're going to be a team to be a contender in the future.
And conversely, I've got my grandest fall from grace as the Penrith Panthers. I covered this in the preseason review of the Panthers, where I think they were riding on the back of a lot of confidence and a fuck ton of ego to boot. And that's not going to work now. If they think that shit's going to fucking work in 2021, they got another thing coming. It certainly didn't work in the grand final when for the first 40 minutes, they just were in fucking cruise control. Play those 40 minutes, they win the game. That was as simple as it needed to be.
Play 5 more minutes in that second half and they fucking win the game.
And they fucked it. So, big stumble there. And they put a big target on their back. When you go 17 straight, you want to win that grand final to cap it off. You didn't. Now you want to come back again and do the same shit? Not going to happen. They go from the hunter to the hunted. You made that point about the Gold Coast Titans, and that's, I think, doubly so for the Penrith Panthers. So I see those guys going from the out-and-out minor premiers and the team to beat in 2020, falling to 6th or worse in 2021.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like we said, the Penrith Panthers aren't going to be able to sneak up on anybody anymore. You're going to be circling that fucking Panthers match in your calendar, wanting to prove a point. And particularly as well, so many Sydney teams, like whenever there's a Sydney team that's, sort of the top dog, everybody wants to try to get a scratch on them, right? I've chosen a team geographically pretty close in terms of fortunes. Couldn't be fucking further away. I got the West Tigers. My grandest fall from grace. I know what you're thinking. Hey, they finished 11th last year. How could they fall from grace? Oh, they're going to get a smack on with the wooden spoon. That's what they're going to get. Madge's ass is going to be bent over and it's going to be red raw by the end of 2021. The signings they've made don't push the needle. They lost Benji Marshall, the last remaining bit of their heart and soul, and they just fucked him off. So who do they bring in? Joe Offer and James Tarmow. James Tarmow, great player, great leader, but he's now gone from playing for the Penrith Panthers to the West Tigers. Bad news bears. On the topic of bad news bears, two Leilua brothers training on the same side of the field. Get fucked. Might look pretty good scoring some points, but fuck me, their plus minus at the end of the year is going to be woeful. We'll put it fucking that way. Harry Grant, particularly in Origin, has proved how big of a loss he is. Combine that with the fact that no Benji Marshall means that Luke Brooks is going to have a lot more to do for that team. That doesn't bode well for them. And read an article last week, makes so much more sense now. Michael Maguire has been known to be a pretty hard-nosed type of coach, sort of my way or the highway. And he brought up how some players, like his tactics were a little bit thin during the Rabbitohs era where they won the grand final. And his thing was at the end of the day, when we held up that grand final trophy, they all felt that it was worth it and like their sort of effort was vindicated. But the Tigers aren't going to come anywhere close to the success of those Rabbitohs teams. So I see him just not necessarily falling out of favour, but I see those players just getting overworked and getting tired and just not giving a fuck. And let's not forget just how toxic that. And I hate you. The Tigers culture, there is none. And the fact that they left Benji and so many like current Tigers players have come out and said that they felt really hurt by that. That just doesn't bode well because as soon as stuff starts to go wrong and the changes that they make don't work immediately, like they're going to start pointing fingers. And wooden spoon. Everything is cooking for the wooden spoon. And I couldn't bear for the Broncos to win the wooden spoon again. And I can't, in my mind, tip them to do it. So, dear God, I hope the Tigers get them.
No, it's kind of the exact same argument for the Broncos as I just said for the Penrith Panthers. When you finish so clearly the best team in 2020, it's going to be very hard to replicate that, number one, and you've got a big target on your back. Conversely, for the Broncos, when you finish so clearly the worst team in 2020, the only way is up. You only stand to come back in this season and both perform better, pull your fucking finger out and perform better, and secondly to that, you're going to smack a few teams in the mouth because they're going to think you're shit again, and if you fucking turn up, you might just win.
If we let in 4 converted tries a game, our defense will get better than last year. So the sky really is the limit for the Broncos, even if the sky is just the fucking ground.
The sky's still the basement.
Alrighty, so now some bold predictions of mine, if you will. I have Adam Reynolds losing his starting spot to Benji Marshall through injury during the season, and then I have him having a hard time getting the position back. And I think that to that point will be, I don't see this contract drama getting solved anytime soon, and Wayne Bennett doesn't like this bullshit hanging out in the background. Although he hasn't played less than 16 games in any of his seasons, Adam Reynolds is not injury prone, but he can get injured because he's a tough, nuggety little bloke, and he does play through some injuries. Sooner or later, that sort of succumbs to it. And I think Wayne Bennett's going to understand for the long term, like for the longevity of the team's success, he might have to rest him a few times. But I think Benji Marshall is going to be out there to prove a point. And I think having a guy like Cody Walker next to a guy like Benji Marshall, because Cody Walker and young Benji Marshall aren't too dissimilar in their way that they attack the line and they just, make things happen out of thin air. Benji Marshall's going to be frothing that, like being able to give some service to a young guy like that. So that's my bold prediction number 1. Bold prediction number 2 is that if Joseph Suaalii plays this year, he's going to flop. I'm not going to say that he's going to be out of the league, but I'm just going to say the expectations they put on this kid, he's not going to come out and just absolutely dominate everybody that he goes up against. There's going to be a learning curve. And then finally, don't have any Broncos tinted glasses on for this or anything, but the Chiefs will sign with the Broncos for 2022. Those are my 3 predictions. Bang, bang, bang.
Those are some big ones, brother. Fuck. I feel like mine are nowhere near as saucy. So I've got the Tigers and the Dragons get done for being over the salary cap.
The fans will be baying for blood when we record
because they're just looking so good. I can't believe it. How do they do it? How do they bring in all these players?
How can they say under the cap when they're only paying 3 guys more than $650K? Cap mismanagement.
There's got to be some money going somewhere it shouldn't be. Like, Madge must be fucking living in a mansion. Mansion! So, and the second one I've got for that is just, there's been a lot of, this probably isn't that bold of a prediction really, because there's been so much coach movement in the last 1 to 2 seasons that you pretty much expect a few heads to roll in the coaching staff. My 2 is based on those 2 teams I've just mentioned there. Michael Maguire will get the punt as the Tigers head coach during the season, particularly if they start as badly as we both predict them to. He's gone by round 12. And I think also Anthony Grimman is under threat of a similar outcome if the Dragons don't turn the fuck up. I don't know what the coach's contract is there. Is he on a 2-year deal or a 3-year deal or something? But I could honestly see that team get 12 rounds in the season. Like, what the fuck is this? So just get out.
So just to confirm, you have the Tigers and the Dragons both being found for running over the cap while they're languishing in 15th and 16th. And then while they're over the cap, they're going to flog their coaches off.
Yes.
And that's your bold prediction.
They're bold. Isn't that what we're doing here? Yours are real. It's silly. Classic.
Get fucked.
Right. Now we're into a couple of Dally M predictions. We're going to go in hard with our Dally M winners, and then we're going to go fucking rapid fire. Oh, shit. No. All right.
Yeah, that's
And on that note, looking at a couple of these names we've got here for the 3 biggest dud signings in 2021. There's some Tigers and Dragons in here, aren't there, mate? So I'll go first. I've already ticked this one off in a few episodes now. I really need someone to create a counter for me of how many times I rip on Bryce Cartwright in one season. We're already up to 10. So Bryce Cartwright, he's already the worst signing for this season in that he's already fucking found a way to get out of playing footy again. What's he broken this time? His fucking toe or something?
Jaw.
Bullshit. It's his fucking heart. He doesn't want to play. He just wants a paycheck. So, dud 1.
That's my dud. That's also my dud 1.
Dud 2, Joe Offengowie. You can't slide that much over a couple of seasons at the Broncos. Like, the Broncos, who expect fucking performance, and he didn't deliver, and then go to the Tigers and think, you know what? I'm going to fucking turn up now. I'm going to actually play, and I'm going to fucking show them. Especially when your team's going shit. He's going to do exactly what he did at the Broncos and do sweet fuck all. Sit back, let it all happen. So, Joe Off is fucking number 2. And number 3, you know who it is. Tyson Frizzell. He's not good. And he's not going to make a difference to the Newcastle Knights. Thank you.
That's fair. Very fair. I already had Bryce Cartwright. Obvious reasons. Feel like we pick on him. It's just too easy. My second dud signing is Andrew Mcculloch. Look, if best case scenario, he plays every game, he offers you nothing in attack outside a good service to your halves, and he makes you a good 50 to 60 tackles a game. I get Cameron McInnes is injured, but again, unless they don't have anybody identified or anybody they want to try in that position, I see it's maybe Anthony Griffin likes what Andrew McCulloch brings to the team, leadership qualities, bring him back with Ben Hunt. Either which way, shit signing. Thank you for taking his contract off of us Dragons. Much appreciated. And then my last dud signing is Ewan Aitken. Look, the primarily blokes that aren't Kiwis that move to the New Zealand Warriors tend to play a worse brand of footy for whatever reason it is. Ewan Aitken is the same thing. He's pretty average footy player. Like, not saying he's a bad footy player, but he's definitely not a great one. I just think at the end of the season, when it comes to it, you'll look at the New Zealand Warriors team and you'll just go, meh.
Fuck, mate, you've got him as a dud. I had him as one of my X factors. So, right, let's get into a couple of our Dally M predictions. So we'll start off with our Dally M medal winner, and then we'll go position by position, rapid fire, who we think will take out the top honour come season's end. So, straight up, I think the Storm, being the minor premiers, I had to go for somebody in that team as being the reason why they take it out. I have to go with Ryan Pappenhausen. Puppy. He's an absolute game breaker who gets to and has to go to the next level in 2021. Like, at such a young age, he's basically going to become one of their leaders, and deservedly so with how crazy some of his contributions have been. So that's the Dally M medal winner at the end of the season for me.
Trell. All Latrell. Dally M player of the year. Big money. Big boy. Big points. All season long.
I believe in reviewing your notes, you had it as big money, big dick, big points. What's with the change?
Yeah, big dick energy. I don't want to get too PG, but yes, he's like Latrell Mitchell this year. He copped a lot of shit last year. I mean, he cops a lot of shit every year. Went over it extensively in Rabbitohs podcast. He's scrutinised to no fucking end, and this is the year that he just, as health permitting, he just fucking gets after it all season long. So Latrell Mitchell, my Dally M player of the year. Obviously, that means that he's going to be me fullback, as I think your Dally M pick might be.
Yeah, right. We got a couple of fullbacks.
Yes. Interesting. Yes, maybe there might be something to having a good fullback and being a good team, potentially. Maybe. Winger, who you got?
I got the sauce, Josh Mansour. Fucking what a point he will have to prove in 2021. He's going to want to give the world's biggest fuck you to the Panthers, and he's got the fucking talent to do it. And he's got the team around him to do it. Like, without a doubt, he's right up there with an opportunity to be the best winger in the game. In saying that, there are a fucking lot of good wingers, so this is probably one of the ones that I'm the least confident about because, you know, it really comes down to team success, but also, you know, if the ball swings left or right in that particular team, if any number of things. There's so many good wingers.
Yeah, I think Mansell's a good pick, but my team is a little bit more littered with Rabbits players. Obviously, knowing the bullshit Dally M voting system that it is, only 3 players get points every week because that sounds fair and reasonable. To that point, I've got Brian Toto from the Panthers getting Winger of the Year. I think, pretty much the same reason for Josh Mansour. I just think that, they're going to be, obviously Charlie Staines is an absolute gun, like he should be up there, but I think the next step that he'll take should get him to win Winger of the Year. And from what we saw last year, they absolutely loved that Panthers team and the voting for it. So
I love me some Bryza, so I'm so happy to see him in your list. So I didn't put him in there, and I'm kind of mad at myself that I didn't now, but there's one centre last year that I was the first that I knew of that was, touting this guy, even to a Storm fan, right? My brother's a Storm fan, and I kept telling him, Justin Olum is a fucking beast. He's like, no, he's a dickhead. He fucking drops the ball all the time. No. He took some time to get some confidence and to get a few things fixed in his game. And there's literally an article from last year where Craig Bellamy addresses that. He's like, we had to work with him, which does add some credence to my points about the Bellamy system at the Melbourne Storm. How fucking good this guy got from what was such an error-prone second grader, Q-Cup player. So Justin Olum, he will be the centre of the year. He is unstoppable. Great in defence, fucking powerful when he runs, and is a pretty good link between a 5'8" and the winger. Can put his winger over.
Yep. I like that. 5'8", who you got?
I got Jarome Luai. Look, he's an easy player to hate, isn't he? Because he is one of the real... He was one of the main villains in that Panthers team as far as ego went. He was just full of it. And I think some of his teammates followed. And rightly so to an extent. Look, he had a fucking amazing season. And as much as I hate that ego side of him, which again showed in the Maoris game, he's fucking good. He's creative. He's that 5'8" that we talked about, a bit more ad-lib, can hit a hole, can string a pass, can do all that you would want from a 5'8", and can tackle too. Got a very good defensive game for a guy of his size, so can't go past him.
I don't like to be that type of guy, but, the way Jarome Luai carries on sometimes, if he played footy in the 90s, he'd get his head fucking knocked off. You even saw it in the All-Stars game. Him and Latrell Mitchell were getting a little bit oi at each other, and I tell you what, if he carried on like that, fucking Christ, he'd get belted. But he is a great player and a great point with the confidence that he brings. You need a guy like that. When someone tries to fight him or go at him, the other boys get around him, sort of protect him. My 5'8", I've got Cody Walker. Obviously, there's sort of trend with mine, seeing as who I've picked to win. Again, I just think that Cody Walker is going to take his game to the next level. Again, it's almost that thing as well where the media loves these driven storylines. And I think Wayne Bennett coaching this side, Cody Walker needing some kind of retribution, if anything. He's my 5'8" for the year. Halfback, I've flipped around on you. I've gone Nathan Cleary. Said it before. He's just the most complete halfback in the game today. The ability that he has to have any type of game for the Panthers this season and still pick up easy points, whether it's his tackling, whether it's his ball control, whether it's, deft kicks into the corner, whether it's attacking the line or putting guys over for tries or his goal kicking late game situations. He just really has it all. So he's my halfback.
I've gone for Adam Reynolds. Fuck, there's some Rabbits and Panthers in this list so far, mate. But I think particularly with this breaking story at the moment regarding his contract, which I saw a post, I think, from the Beak straight away about is the contract system broken? The fact that Adam Reynolds wants a 3-year deal, but the Rabbits don't want to pay him. But that's just savvy from the Rabbits, to be honest with you. He isn't a spring chicken anymore. You mentioned he was around in that grand final 7 years ago now, and he wasn't a rookie then by any means. So, he's getting on in years, and he wants to shore up his future. And no qualms with that whatsoever. You got to look after yourself when you've got such a short rugby league career, even at the best of times, right? But you can't blame the Rabbits for not wanting to lock in a, let's say, $600,000 to $800,000 contract that he might be asking for 3 more years, when who knows when he could drop off the face of the planet as far as his output. So I don't disagree with their stance on this. So, you could see him moving on from the Rabbits after the end of this season, I think it is. But in the meantime, whether he's staying or whether he wants to show another team what he's got, I reckon this is going to force him to play out of his skin. And so we're going to see some fantastic performances from him. So, and that also ties in with the fact that you've got them as, one of your top teams and one of my top teams. So makes sense.
Good teams don't overpay, right? Like, as much as it sucks to say, like, they definitely should be showing some loyalty to Adam Reynolds. I think, like, the famous story that he was walking with his dad when they were going to, completely banish the Rabbitohs from the competition, but they marched for their right to get back into the NRL. So he is, as much as it comes to, that's his childhood team. Like, the Rabbitohs were his childhood team. But at the end of the day, like you said, if you're going to play at an $800,000 a year level, then yeah, definitely pay the guy. But right now, you obviously can see that the Rabbitohs' valuation of what they think Adam Reynolds is going to be in 3 years versus what Adam Reynolds thinks of himself are two completely different things. And at the end of the day, no player is bigger than any one club, regardless of who you are and regardless of what you have done for them. That's it. You don't pay them for what you think they're going, like, you pay guys for what you think they're going to bring your, like, success for your team. You don't pay them on what they've done for you. And at the end of the day, it's just a business. Like, that's just it, right? What do we got next? Lock. Real Rabbits theme here for me. I got Cam Murray. He's just really, really good at footy. And yeah, I think he's the best player in footy wearing the number 13 on his jersey. So he's just going to get Lock of the Year this year. That's my tip. Cam Murray.
Well, it's Joe Tarpany, the best number 13, but I'm trying not to be a one-eyed green supporter here. So
you've done a good job so far.
Yeah. Look at my list, right? I've got only one Raider in there, so I did my best. But
you wanted to put Charnsey in as your fullback with Little Pappy as your fucking player of the year.
They're going to tie for Dally medalist. We didn't say if we had to list both.
They're going to tie for fullback, but Pappy's going to play one game and halfback, so they're getting him the 3 points there, so he's going to get player of the year.
You nailed it. That's exactly what's going to happen. Bold predictions here. Look, are you sure you're not a Rabbit supporter, by the way? Because there's a fuckload of Rabbits in here.
Oh, it's in my best financial interests.
But my lock is Jake Trbojevic. I tried my best to include one player from outside the 8. There's always one or two that just shine in an absolute trash team, and I think Manly are going to be one of the trash teams, and so I've got him in there. That's the only one.
I mean, fuck, if he plays 25 games and he gets 1 point a game, that's 25 points at the end of the year, right? So fuck, if he gets a 1 point game in 13 of the games and they win 2 and he gets 3 points, that's 17, 18 points. That's enough to get your fucking lock of the year. That's a good pick, actually.
And then I followed that up with who I think is probably out and out the best second rower in the game. Like, we did talk...
Definitely the best with 8 fingers.
We did talk about how stacked the NRL is for second rowers at the moment. Like, I think there is a massive cache of top tier second rowers, which is why I had the point about...
#BigSexy.
Which is why I had the point about Jai Arrow not being one of them. He doesn't compare to a guy like this. So Angus Crichton from the Roosters is well worth this contract that he's on of $800,000 or $900,000. Like, he's got it all. He really is powerful, a great ball runner, a great ball player, and just got a big fucking melon on him, so it's hard to knock him out. Whereas, Boyd Cordner, fuck mate, you blow on him too hard and he's out.
He's a pruny old pumpkin at this point. Look, to show that I'm not a salty Broncos fan, I have my second row of the year being David Fafita. For pretty much the same reasons that I got Brian Kelly as my center of the year, is the fact that the Titans are going to have a lot more interest, a lot more eyes on them this year. In the games that they win, David Fafita is most likely going to be the guy leading from the front. And the good games that he has look very good for what the NRL are trying to bring across. Like, they want the young hotshot running over people on his way to the try line and out sprinting guys for over 40 meters as a 110 kilo fucking freight train. So David Fafita from the Titans, to me, is the easy lock for second rower. And then for prop of the year, I got my boy Payne Haas. He misses 3 games in the start of the season. It won't fucking matter. He'll get prop of the year. He's that good. He's that fucking good.
Joshua Parley. Enough said.
They'll rest him.
They won't. This is their year. They're so desperate for that grand final win.
Yeah, you don't play the grand final in round 22.
He's going to play 90 minutes a game. I don't know how he's going to do it, but he's going to do it.
All right, I'll agree. Josh Parley will win Dally M if he comes to the Broncos. Deal?
Why would he do that?
We'll give you Anthony Milford back. you give us Jack Whiten and Josh Parley, and we'll give you Milford and Darren Lockyer. Shake on
You'd
it.
have to fucking sell me every single house in Ascot.
All right. I'll give you that. Brody Croft. You're driving a hard bargain. And the remains of Darius Boyd's libido from 2010.
Josh Papali eats all of these blokes for breakfast. And you can see he's got big gut. But underneath that big gut, it's all beef. So there's our Dally M team of the year for you. And our final one before we wrap things up for 2021 bowl predictions is the Dally M Rookie of the Year. And we both, in our very first episode, mentioned Jordan Reiki, a.k.a. Big Sexy.
Mr. Big Sexy. Thank you very much.
Mr. Big Sexy. We thought he would be eligible. According to Spencer's research, he's not going to be eligible.
He's not. When you play 5 games, you're not eligible, and they played him for 5 games last year. The fucking idiots. God
Just
damn
another
it.
thing they fucked up in 2020, right?
One thing the Broncos were going to win this year that maybe wasn't the spoon, it would have been Rookie of the Year. They fucked it.
I thought Payne Haas was winning Prop of the Year.
Well, yeah, but he's not winning Dally M Player of the Year. Like, you know, well, I want to be the best of something. So, like, you know, the best player or the best rookie, not the best position. The best loser.
But now that Big Sexy's been eliminated from the race, and again, I'm going to go with a theme of picking a player that shines in a absolute travesty of a team. I'm going to go with Jaden Sullivan. I tip that he'll come in after a couple of rounds and then never let go of that halfback role. He's far and away better than Clune or Hunt in the 7 jersey. He's looked really good. I think the Dragons have played 2 trials, and I've watched both so far. He's looked really good. And following along from my theme with a lot of my season previews, they just need to put him in and let him grow. Let him get the reps. Let him build some confidence. And I think they put him in at the end of last season and just follow through. He's your guy.
Is he going to be a cap casualty by the end of the year, do you think? Will he have to be moved on with the salary cap constraints, or do you think they'll be able to lock him down long term?
They're going to struggle. Maybe once they turf Anthony Griffin for the underperformance, then that money will come back into the cap.
I got a 2-way tie for my Rookie of the Year. I got Isaac Lumi and Charlie Staines from the Storm and the Panthers. I know wingers seem to be the bee's knees at the moment, but yeah, I got two young blokes who have their coach's endorsement. Obviously, Charlie Staines had Josh Mansour flicked out so they could accommodate him for this year, and obviously Vunivalu obviously went to the Reds. He's playing Union now, so there's a big hole there in the winger spot for the Storm, and also with Addo-Carr moving on next year, they've really, got 2 spots sort of up for grabs. So I see Lumi starting up the year strong, beating out Remus Smith, and so they brought in Jennings, they brought in Remus Smith, but Lumi got a game or 2 last year. He should keep that momentum, and if we know one thing about Craig Bellamy, apart from his sprays in the coaching box or all-time television, is that he loves himself a fast, strong winger to just finish off those plays in the corner. And I just think that he's got that written all over him. But also, as we know, the New South Wales media is just all up in their own assholes. So they'll have to put some kind of New South Wales team player in there, and that'll be Charlie Staines, because he is and I quote, the Ferrari. And they actually refer to him as the Ferrari. I'm not splitting. I'm not fucking around here.
For a bloke that's played 2 games of footy, there's some raps on him.
6 tries.
I'll wait to see him score 3 tries a game every game from here on out, and then he can. And
he's going to have 300 tries in 100 games.
That's it. Well, that's
the law of
that's
averages.
The way they fucking talk about him at the moment. Like, I want to see how he goes after a full season. I reckon not quite what he's cracked up to be. Anyway, that's it for our special episode of Bold Predictions and Hot Takes. The 2021 season is almost on us. I'm so fucking keen. Bring it on. And next week, we kick it off with our round 1 previews.
Yeah, I'm revved up. I'm ready to go. Let's fucking get into it, boys. There's been too little footy, even with Origin. I've been itching all fucking season. And now I'm ready for a bit of a scritch. I need that scritch.